from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. We're just a few hours away from WWE's first premium live event from Puerto Rico in nearly 2 decades, with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes preparing to take on the Beast Brock Lesnar, and Bad Bunny returning to his home to take on Damian Priest. Joining me today to talk about all of this and more, including last night's SmackDown, we firstly have the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
I'm doing well, my friend. Stoked to be here. It's a sick day for sports fans around the world, not just wrestling fans. We've got the Kentucky Derby out of the gates. Then we've got Backlash and the UFC on tap. I could not ask for anything more on a Saturday afternoon than that lineup. It's just a good day to be a fan of wrestling and sports. It's awesome.
You say it's a good day to be a fan of sports. Well, Man City won today, so it's not good if you're an Arsenal fan. But apart from that, yeah, it's a fantastic day. Of course, you got the UFC later on as well. But also joining me to discuss everything we have here today, Coby Galenzoski. How are you, Coby?
Currently getting my notes down for the show. Of course, I gotta always get my crib notes for what I want to talk about. But I mean, like we said, it's a good, enjoyable day to be a wrestling fan. It's enjoyable to be a sports / entertainment fan. At the end of the day, we have WWE Backlash, like Ben had said in the intros, Puerto Rico's first special premium pay-per-view, however you want to call it, since 2005 with New Year's resolution. So this has been a long time in the making, and this is a big show for them. And all we can hope for is WWE is going to deliver, and I for sure believe they are going to at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that card a little bit later on. But first, let's just, the first 15 minutes, let's just talk about SmackDown. And we can't not talk about that drone shot to open the show last night. For those of you guys who didn't see it, a drone went from outside the arena all the way through the arena and out into the, where the ring is and all of that, going around the crowd. It was fantastic. It was something WWE have never done before. Obviously, they were trying something new, but it looked great. I hope they do it more. It's a great way of, giving fans a look at the stadium or the arena from the outside and the inside, and it gives them the more fan experience, I'd say. I also love the look and feel of the show in terms of the stage was a lot more simple. You could see fans because the stage was curved a little bit. I'm not sure if it's even doable from every arena, but it looked great. It really, really did. And I'm a guy I do like the actual LED screens at times, the big stuff like that. I do like it. It looks high value. But at times it really does just feel good to see fans when you see wrestlers entering. Not that, fans behind where wrestlers are entering. Fans are such a huge part of professional wrestling, and it felt like it last night. Clark, what did you think about that stage and the drone shots?
I thought it was amazing. The stage was so cool. The drone shot is awesome. And you made a great point about every arena. It's not really possible, especially given where the concourse is, how the entrances work. I mean, like, for example, where we entered for Crypto Arena, Monday Night Raw, right? Like with the immediate escalator, that's a tough drone route.
Yeah.
Getting into the building from that one. But I loved everything about it. And to your point about the fans thing, I think outside of maybe stand-up comedy, there's not really another forum where the fans influence the product or are such a big part of live entertainment. Because, even at a play, if you see something on Broadway, there's a level of respect and there will be pops and cheers and whatnot. But, it's a quite stand-up comedy is where you'll see heckling, you'll see all of that, and it's in the moment and it's based on what's happening right this second. And that's so unique to wrestling. And I think that, to your point, that is kind of the brilliance of the drone shot, is just showing that whole stadium and how electric it was. The shot itself covered all of that perfectly. And that was my favorite part about it, was you could just see the energy throughout the entire trip of the drone, right? You can see the energy in that building. You could feel it. It was so cool. And I really enjoyed it for changing things up too. something we haven't
Yeah.
seen really before. I was very impressed by that shot myself, for sure.
Yeah, and I've always for years had this kind of vision about something WWE could do where the wrestlers basically come from the floor, like what Cody Rhodes did, and they have the stage, if you like, just a bit of a slanted LED screen, so you can still see fans behind it, and then you can see the wrestler come up. So you still have that nice LED graphics and all of that. You still do pyro and all of that, but you still get to see the fans behind. And I think that could look really awesome. So I really do hope WWE try that out at some point. But Kobe, what were your thoughts about the production last night?
I mean, I'm never gonna not see someone who's hated that drone shot. It was money. It was awesome to see kind of go from the inside and the outside, and they did that to an extent at SoFi. They didn't go like a travel, but they showed it outside multiple times, and of course, it's a beautiful stadium to show off. At the end of the day, I enjoyed it. You could tell the people there were there as fans, and it was enjoyable, and the atmosphere was electric for the entire show. At the end of the day, I feel like the LED board, the big LED boards, almost fit better at the end of the day. I like this for special occasions where it's like you actually are packing an arena full as you possibly can. But I like the big screen because I don't want to say with that modern mindset, but a lot of people are going to believe this. Bigger is better, and the more lights and the more LED and the more spectacle you can give, it almost is going to be better. And that's why the WrestleMania set this year was so big and massive. It was one of the best stages they've had in a long time. At the end of the day, I don't want to say I necessarily believe it, but I like the fact like bigger is better, and I feel that same way about wrestling.
Yeah, I mean those LED screens WWE sure do love, and there's reason for that. But let's now get into the actual action on SmackDown, where I mean we had Karrion Kross versus Shinsuke Nakamura. We spoke about this a lot yesterday. I went on a bit of a rant about it yesterday about how neither could take the loss and all of that. Well, Nakamura got the win like I predicted. I don't know where Kross goes from here at all, really. I don't know if I care where Kross goes from here, really. Maybe Nakamura's getting pushed, though. That's always fun. But Clark, what were your thoughts?
You know, I watched it with my dad, and it's funny because he hadn't seen much of Karrion Kross, and at first he kind of got it. And we even discussed it like, hey man, it doesn't make any sense for Shinsuke to go over here. He could recover from a loss. I don't know how Kross does. And then the result happened. Then it was Kinshasa ball game. And I don't know if that's the end of Kross's run or what it is. But I loved the match. It was awesome. The match was great. But I mean, I don't know where you go I know where you go, I guess, for Shinsuke, kind of, but I don't know where you go from here with Karrion Kross. He can't keep taking this many losses.
No, he certainly can't. I mean, they basically killed all his momentum off. And the next thing I want to talk about from SmackDown last night is Bad Bunny's reaction, because let's be honest, we all knew it was going to be a big reaction, but it really was a big reaction. They were nuts for him there, him coming out with the Latino World Order. It was perfect. I loved it. Kobe, what were your thoughts on it?
I mean, what were you going to expect at the end of the day? Like we all, like you said, we all thought and believed it was going to happen that way. And Bad Bunny getting that massive pop just shows how Bad Bunny is intricate into the culture of Puerto Rico. And it's massive. Everyone there knew who he was, probably enjoys his music. At the end of the day, he is a massive star, and we got to give him his flowers that he probably got one of the best reactions and will be getting one of the best reactions tonight as well. But there's only going to be a few other things, like Cody's Woe was also magic last night. Seth Rollins' singing's probably going to be very magical tonight as well. But at the end of the day, Bad Bunny deserves that reaction, and I'm glad he got it, and I'm glad he got his flowers, if you want to say it that way. The whole moment of him coming out and putting on the LWO shirt is magical. The LWO is in a really good spot right now, and I do got to give them their flowers for building them up, giving giving the people a reason to care despite them not really winning matches. Oh, they are in a good spot. The merch is selling, which is solid and fun. There's not much else you can say about it. It is really good.
Absolutely, and they got bloodline level minutes last night on SmackDown too. And numero one Superfly's on the YouTube commenting, did you notice Bad Bunny was wearing a WWF jacket? On YouTube, they blurred out the logo, and yeah, he was last night. A bit of a mess up there that they let him go on screen with that, but yeah, they did blur it out on YouTube. They don't want another big court case or whatever. And we got Chaos also in the YouTube comments saying, tuning in while I wait for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 to start. Good work, gents. Nice to see you, Chaos. And I hope you enjoy the movie. But now let's move on to something last night, which I was not a fan of. You guys know me. I'm a big Imperium guy. I think all of us here are big Imperium guys. They were squashed last night by the Street Profits. Okay, it wasn't a super traditional squash or anything, but it was a very short match. Yes, they're technically going over to Raw, so it was their last appearance on SmackDown, while the Street Profits are now going to staying on SmackDown, moving over to SmackDown. But even still, why are Imperium losing like that? It's completely senseless for me. Those guys should be in the tag team title picture. And instead they're being squashed by the Street Profits. That could be a proper, long feud. And obviously, for the sake of this, it couldn't be because of the two brands and all of that. But it deserved more than being a short little match where Imperium lose quite badly, very quickly. I really, really did not like it. Clark, what are your thoughts? Do you feel similar?
I absolutely love the Street Profits. I wish they booked this with anyone else but Imperium. It doesn't seem right because, like you said, long feud. I mean, not to just keep agreeing with you on this, but dude, the Street Profits, I don't want them to split up yet. And I believe there's an avenue for Montez Ford to have a singles run outside of Angelo Dawkins and his stuff. They don't have to break up. We don't have to turn Angelo heel. We don't have to do that. There's no reason. We've seen it in the New Day. You can have a singles run and be in a group. You can be in a team. It's very possible. And to make it work is very possible. There's no reason to split them up because I think they're the second best tag team in all of WWE. Period. Outside of the Usos, like pure tag team wrestling, the Street Profits are I would go Usos one, them, and then I mean, obviously with the New Day, it's a little bit of a different animal with 3 performers, right, as opposed to 2. So it depends on how you pair them. But as far as traditional tag teams are concerned, the Usos and the Street Profits are the best 2, and I think splitting them up would be a mistake. So while I didn't like that it happened to Imperium, I do feel more comfortable as not only a fan of the Street Profits, but just a believer in both talents that they went over last night. That is the only positive takeaway I kind of have from the match. Not that it was a bad match, it was just too short for the level of talent in that ring. It needed more time and it needed to feel more important.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you completely there. Because even if the Street Profits did get a victory, that's one thing, right? Fair enough. Because as you said, the Street Profits are great. There's no doubting it. I think Montez Ford really could become a top star in the company. And Angelo Dawkins is great as well. He truly is. Which is why it wouldn't make sense to really split them up because they work so well together. However, they didn't need a squash Imperium. Completely senseless, in my opinion. But whatever. Let's hope this isn't a streak now where Imperium will keep taking losses. Yeah, it frustrates me, but let's before we go on a rant, let's move on to tonight's show, WWE Backlash, which is also from Puerto Rico. The crowd is going to be incredible for it. I am pumped. It is a stacked card. So let's get into it. Give you our predictions and our thoughts for each and every match. The first match I want to talk about is the match which I personally think will kick off the show. And that is the Bloodline, which is the Usos and Solo Sikoa against Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Riddle. And this match was very interesting, right? Because obviously Owens and Zayn, their stuff with the Usos now is seemingly done. They've beaten them twice. No way are they going to do that again. Well, I doubt it anyway. They're probably going to go on to new things after this. The Riddle and Sikoa stuff. I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. Correct me. No, yeah, Riddle did get drafted to Raw, correct, Coby? Do you know that?
Yeah, because on Raw they made it a big thing, like, oh, Riddle's like, hey, we all got drafted to Raw. We get to spend more time together. And Kevin's just like, no, fuck that. Screw that.
Yeah. And yeah, so they're all on separate brands to the Bloodline, so this will probably be the end of it now. I kind of thought that Riddle might be having another match with Roman, but that's seemingly completely off now. And it's not something I particularly wanted to see again anyway. But
even then, he couldn't.
Yeah, now we can't. But I mean,
the stipulation from last year's match was he can't have another title shot. So he can't. Let's be honest. I mean, obviously, they probably could break it, but yeah, exactly.
They shouldn't. You are right. You are bang on right. They shouldn't break it. But what is going to be very interesting about this match, more than anything, Q, is what's going to happen with the Bloodline. Because obviously Solo Sikoa got a call the other week from Roman saying, tonight's your night. And then Solo Sikoa came out to the Usos during their tag team match before Riddle took him out. So will the Usos get in trouble tonight? Will they get kicked out of the Bloodline? I'm kind of doubting it, but I wonder where this story is going to go. Coby, I'll head to you first. What are your thoughts and what is your predictions for this match?
I mean, that's the thing. Before the whole Bad Bunny match, which we'll talk about later, was even booked, I was sold on this being the main event, like last year, having the Bloodline versus Drew RK Bro. At the end of the day, I think this is going to be just a very entertaining match. I think all of these matches tonight have the ability to be entertaining. But like you said, this match has to deliver something with the Bloodline. A Bloodline angle does have to happen. Roman has been announced to officially come out and return for next Friday, or well, not next, but the upcoming Friday for the first time since WrestleMania. I actually do believe he hasn't been on SmackDown since. But at the end of the day, something has to happen. I was originally sold on Sikoa standing tall over the Usos, but I would have almost been sold that way if the Usos weren't on the same brand. I think that is very intricate in this point if something is going to happen to where it potentially does lead up to a Jey Uso Roman match in the future. Once again, that could happen. I don't know. I don't think it necessarily happens as soon as Night of Champions, but I do think something has to happen with the Bloodline to continue it, because a lot of people have pointed it out on like social media that it's almost been the same angle every show since WrestleMania. There's a brawl between the Bloodline, Sammy, Riddle, Kevin. Someone stands tall, someone gets attacked. Well, Riddle comes out. Sikoa stands tall for the thumb, but uses the thumb. It's almost been a little repetitive. And I'm not putting this on the booking. It's very hard to kind of book between WrestleMania and the draft. So something needs to happen at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, it does, because you don't want this storyline to start to feel repetitive at all, and that is what they're at risk of currently, because it kind of has felt repetitive over the last few weeks. Clark, what do you think will happen? What do you think should happen tonight?
You know, if I were going let's start with should. And should hurts on this one because it's pending a guy's health. But what I would love to see is if the tag team titles are kind of going to Raw, even though I guess because they hold both, they could probably get away with switching brands. But isn't this the perfect scenario to set up for RK Bro versus Sammy and Kevin? Is there a way that Randy Orton sneaks in here? Also, given Randy Orton's history in Puerto Rico at the 05 Elimination Chamber, lost the title in San Juan in the Elimination Chamber. And the way I look at it, I would love to see that. Something there, especially given the friendliness on we'll see you on Monday, like we can hang out more. And you know, Sammy and Kevin handled it great. Maybe Randy sneak something here because the titles aren't in the picture in this match, but there's so much value and something has to happen. That would be something. And so that would be my guess there. Not guess, but that would be what I'm hoping for, I guess, as a fan, even. Right?
Yeah, no, and that is a very good take there, Clark. I hadn't even thought about that. And I mean, what you could do is Solo start to, tease turning on one of the Usos or something like that. And then that happens, so he doesn't actually get to. And I mean, you are still that doesn't fix the issue of the bloodline being repetitive. But whatever, that would be huge and would be certainly a way to reintroduce Randy Orton. You know what? You might be bang on with that. That would be a huge moment tonight if it happens.
And given the history from from the last time they were there, that was
you might have just ruined it for me, Clark.
It's when he lost the title.
If that doesn't happen tonight, I'm going to be disappointed now.
I am too, to be honest.
You just ruined the match for me. Thanks a lot.
And that's one of the few times I actually thought of that one live. I wasn't sure what I was going to say when you tossed it to me.
I hadn't even thought about that. But yeah, I do agree with you, Kobe, as well, though. Right? They need to do something with Bloodline. But a straight-on turn with Solo turning on the Usos, it might be a little too early. Because, no way. I feel like if they get the Usos out of the Bloodline completely by SummerSlam, if they do Jay versus Reigns at Night of Champions or Money in the Bank or even SummerSlam, that means the Usos are completely out of the Bloodline picture following SummerSlam. That likely means that all the way from SummerSlam until WrestleMania, it's just going to be Roman and Solo. And I don't know how entertaining that is going to be when this Roman Reigns title reign's already kind of feeling repetitive in places. And the Usos have done such a great job at keeping the title reign relevant throughout. Jey Uso especially he deserves more praise for what he's done during this title reign. So I would be slightly worried if it meant they have to go, 7 months without the Usos' involvement in any way. So I'd maybe keep the turn until after SummerSlam if there's a way to do that, and then have them as like the last feud and then finish that at the Rumble, and then you can go and do the Cody thing if that is the direction they end up going in. But now let's talk about the next match on the card, which is Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Of course, Rhea Ripley is on Raw, which makes this entire situation a lot more confusing, while Zelina Vega is on SmackDown. So, Zelina Vega winning the title, and in the other match, Io Sky winning the title would be the easy solution, but I don't think that's happening either way here. I do think Rhea Ripley is going to retain tonight. What's going to be really interesting is to see who the crowd's going to be rooting for in this, to be honest with you, because at the press conference, Zelina Vega, as the press conference went on, was getting a bit more of a reaction when Ray really hyped her up. But at the start, they were really rooting for Rhea Ripley. They were chanting "Mommy" and all of that. So I think there's actually a chance, despite it being in Zelina Vega's hometown, that it's actually Rhea Ripley the crowd is behind tonight. Clark, I'll head to you first. Who do you think's going to get the win in this one?
I think it would be so cool to see Zelina win in Puerto Rico. It'd be amazing. But at the end of the day, it's Ripley going over, probably by Riptide. I don't see Io winning the title either. I wish there was a solution, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, it seems illogical to take it off of Ripley this early, even in Puerto Rico, especially given the fact that there's other hometown talent, unfortunately, and this is no knock on Zelina, but that are candidates to go over in Puerto Rico tonight, and you can't give it to all of them. So yeah, at the end of the day, I see Ripley by Riptide probably in a match that we're shocked by. I'm hoping, to your point earlier, that the crowd doesn't turn on Zelina. But I think we'll be shocked at how hot the crowd is for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zelina Vega, this could be her breakout match. I really hope it is her breakout match. And yeah, Kobe's just corrected me there as well. Io Sky, of course, is on SmackDown. This new draft is going to take me a couple of weeks, guys, to get my head around right. But yeah, so even that wouldn't really solve the problem here if both of the challengers won. But I mean, this is an entire mess. We've spoken about it already. Maybe they just rename the titles and give them new belt designs. Personally, I think that's what they should do. But Kobe, what is your prediction for this match? Do you think Rhea Ripley or Zelina Vega will be going over?
I think a lot of things that you just said make sense, and I hope that does happen. Zelina Vega is a tremendous talent, and this is almost the moment of her career. This is the moment she's waiting for. If you want to go that kind of that cheesy line, she deserves the platform to deliver. And Ripley and her already have a lot of chemistry built from last year, from the few matches they've been in the ring with this year as well. They can tell a story. Rhea Ripley can sell for Zelina Vega. I'm expecting that to look really good. We saw Rhea Ripley's just tremendous in that whole entire standpoint. I do think Ripley is getting the win, and as much as it's like it's gutting to say that Zelina doesn't get the big moment, but I think Rhea Ripley is on the start of a big championship run. We don't know what is even happening with the titles. That kind of takes away from this match. But I mean, the one thing I can say that sums it up for me in this for feeling this match is give them time. It should be a better match than Io Sky versus Bianca Belair.
Wow.
I think it's going to be a more solid match. It should be more of a solid match. So give them time. They should deliver. That's all that needs to be said.
I'm surprised at that. I truly am, because I'm a big Io Sky fan. I've been a fan of her since, her days in Japan. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it will be, but I think the crowd might be more into it, and that's always a factor, right? That when the crowd's into a match, it always ends up being better. So maybe you are right, but that's a perfect transition into the next one. Bianca Belair taking on Io Sky for the Raw Women's Championship, even though both of them on SmackDown. Of course, we've spoken about it. The entire title situation, a mess right now. There needs to be a solution. Easy solution, rename them. That's the last time I'll say it today, I promise. But yeah, Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. I personally think it's obvious here. Bianca Belair is going to win. And the reason for that is if she does win tonight, then she will become the longest reigning champion in the modern era. Longest reigning women's champion, sorry, I should say. I'd love to see Io Sky as women's champion, but I think it'll happen at a later day when she is not in Damage Control, if it does happen. But Clark, what are your thoughts? Who do you see winning tonight between these two women?
I've got no doubt in my mind Bianca goes over by KOD. At the end of the day, I hear where you're coming from on the Damage Control thing and the stuff with Io Sky. I think Io Sky is an awesome talent, but this reeks of shenanigans. At the end of the day, for me, she's still tied to Bayley and Dakota, and she's not the main eventer of the three in that group. It's Bayley, and if this isn't a way to get Bayley Bianca again, which we have seen a few times and has delivered every time, if this isn't a route to get Bayley Bianca once more, I don't know what it is. Io Sky deserves better. Bianca Belair deserves better. Damage Control deserves better. I hope that this is an awesome match, but I anticipate Ripley and Vega stealing the show over this one by a lot. I talent-wise, Belair and Io Sky should be a banger. Story-wise, coming in, it just seems like KOD ballgame or Bayley and Damage Control shenanigans. I don't see a route for them to put on the classic that they could. We all, I think, three would agree that they could, or would, more than likely. I mean, I think Bianca Belair is the best athlete in maybe all of wrestling, if not at least women's wrestling. All-around athlete. You do not see athletes like Bianca often, almost ever. She's world-class. Sprinter, lifting, strength. To do the things she does is more impressive than people give her credit for.
Absolutely.
And so I think she deserves a rivalry that allows them to tell that story bell to bell in the ring. Maybe it's 25 minutes, maybe it's a half hour, whatever it is next time. But not that Io Sky couldn't even handle that workload wise. She could, right? But at the end of the day, I run into trouble here just because of the Damage Control ties. And we've just had so many, Damage Control's just kind of been
Meh.
there's
They've not
no
controlled any
story.
damage.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's and
It-
it's unfair, I think, because they should be, especially having the numbers advantage on. I don't see any other 3 women's stables with all candidates to carry a world title,
yeah,
and they should be running through with the numbers advantage, running through people, and they just don't. That's not what we've seen.
no, it
And
absolutely isn't. But I mean, you briefly mentioned there, Clark, Bianca Belair, and Bailey have had. It feels like this entire damage control run. Bailey's either been feuding with Becky Lynch or Bianca Belair, and I'm sick of it. I don't want Bianca Belair anywhere near damage control. Well, sorry, I should say it the other way around. I don't want damage control anywhere near Bianca Belair. I don't want them anywhere near Becky Lynch, right? Let them do their own thing. Let's have some new storylines. Let's reestablish them, because to your point, they've been bugged awfully, right? They've not controlled any damage. They've somehow lost every feud, pretty much. It's frustrating. It's one bit of the Triple H bucking era so far that I can't understand. Damage control have been bucked poorly. They have been. And if you're going to put a Bailey back in a feud with Bianca Belair, build Bailey up a bit more first before then you chuck her back in, and then have her win the title of Bianca. That's the only way I'd be okay with it, because I'm just sick of the Bailey Becky or Bailey Bianca Belair matches at this point. Kobe, I'll take it to you next. Who do you think's winning this one?
I mean, there's a couple things that actually need to be said, and I fully said this multiple times before as we talked about the draft. You should be building the division around the champion. The draft is always a way to refresh the divisions. When I'm seeing SmackDown, Bianca Belair as a Raw Women's Champion and Damage Control on SmackDown, I understand new scenery, but they're on the same branding still. That's not a fresh scene. And two things happened last night on SmackDown. And I'm kind of going quick to get these out of the way. One, Bailey and Dakota Kai pushed Bianca into Io. Is that more of their hinting of there being issues? But the other thing, and we talked about this a long time ago when this was happening, why was Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss together? Well, why is Bianca Belair with Liv Morgan and Raquel? That's the whole question, is I believe Damage Control is going to be ringside. Does that mean Liv Morgan and Raquel are going to come out and do something to even the odds? To me, that's a cheap way to get rid of this. That's going to be what takes me out of this match, is if that type of stuff happens. But like you said, it's obvious they are going to break the record. It's the longest reigning main roster champion title reign. Obviously, WWE is going to say what they want to say. Kaylee Ray had the NXT UK title for almost 2 years because of pandemic reasons and all that. I think it was close to 2 years. But at the end of the day, it is a historical reign. Obviously, it hasn't been the best because, like we said, there's been off and on booking with Damage Control. We've seen Belair really not have that top rivalry. And like I said this last week, Charlotte Flair is going to go to SmackDown, and that's the rivalry I want to see. And I want to see Charlotte Flair get me back into this title reign. I want to see Charlotte Flair sell me on Bianca Belair as the women's champion.
Yeah,
but I haven't been sold myself.
Yeah, that would be a feud I certainly would like to see, and certainly could add a lot more value to this title reign. Again, if Liv Morgan and Raquel involved in this even more, right? That means again there's more crossover between these two rosters. And yes, I get it. The Women's Tag Team Championship is across both brands. I was kind of hoping they might do something with the NXT ones on SmackDown, maybe rename those, but realistically, the division, it's not got enough depth to do that. All I want is a hard draft, and I don't think I'm ever going to get it, unfortunately. But let's move on to the next one now. Seth Rollins taking on Omos in basically an attraction match. There's been pretty much no build to this. There was no explanation for this.
Omos, There was.
Not really.
And so MVP, like in the original promo with Omos and Seth and MVP said, "I'm responsible for getting Omos the big money, the attraction matches." I said that after this. They sold me on this match, that promo. Seth Rollins' promo ability is phenomenal. He sold me, and MVP gave us the explanation that we wanted. That he's responsible for getting Omos big matches, and this is a big match.
It's not a story, though.
I mean, that's an explanation.
It's a cheap one.
It's just.
I mean, it's better than nothing.
The idea behind
Seth Rollins was a bear, if we had, if this was like a lion or some sort of jungle cat, that'd be an attraction match. Just throw Seth Rollins in there with Omos and then tell us that it's an attraction match. Like, I know what an attraction match is. That's what Brock and Omos was. You just did it to us a few months ago. It's real easy. Like, unless we had some sort of wild animal, attraction match didn't sell me on anything. Like, that sounds like the circus in my eyes when I hear attraction, right? Like, dude.
No, it's completely senseless. But whatever. I mean, Omos loses all of these ones too. He's got all these attraction matches. He's on both rosters to have these attraction matches, but he's not booked to look like an attraction star. He basically got squashed by Brock. They built it up to be a really good match, and then Brock squashed him. It killed Omos. I said at the time, if they wanted to do anything with Omos had to win. He lost the match. It's senseless. It feels like I'm really complaining about WWE's booking today, which is surprising, as I'm usually funny. The one they call the WWE mark. But Clark, I'll take it to you. What are your thoughts? You kind of said it all. One last thing. I'm predicting Seth Rollins, but yeah, what's your prediction, Clark?
I mean, if I was the WWE, I would have gone the Umaga route with Omos, not having him not speak at all, because he does speak well on the microphone, but with MVP as the mouthpiece and just an absolutely unstoppable force. An absolutely unbeatable entity, and we've never seen that. So if the attraction is just his height and how dangerous he could be, I don't know what it is. I'm missing something. Maybe I get he's 7'3", but if he can't beat anybody, can't beat Braun Strowman, can't beat Brock Lesnar, I mean, like, why are we even scared? Can't you just like run circles around him? I guess, is he not mobile enough at 7'3" to stop a smaller person? I don't get it. I mean, he basically squashed Strowman in Saudi and then got power slammed and 1-2-3'd. He's proven he can take bumps. Took an F5 from Brock Lesnar. He's proven he can bump. He's proven he can work. We got to figure this out, guys, because I don't know how Seth Rollins and Omos put on an exciting match where it's not some sort of gimmick hardcore match and Seth swinging chairs and kendo sticks at him, trying to chop the big man down, but we're not even halfway there. I'm not even scared for Seth, and I should be, with a monster the size of Omos, and I'm not even batting an eye. It's Rollins's, and that's no knock on Rollins's work or even Omos's work. This is just poor booking. It's just poor booking. It is.
It 100% is. But Coby, what are your thoughts on it then? And who's your prediction?
I mean, that's the thing, is like I like, we all felt different about those matches, and we all thought that Strowman versus Omos was not going to be good. It was one of the better matches that show. We all thought, bro. I mean, I don't know what else you were expecting, Ben, but that's what I was expecting from Brock and Omos. Omos is going to get the shots, and Brock's going to win. I knew that going in. Brock was winning, rightfully so. But like, I agree with the statement that Omos could be the new Umaga type of thing, and where he is that unbeatable force and can defeat it. But they don't necessarily have the faces to do it. Brock was a face that needed to climb it. Seth Rollins isn't at the top of the card where, an unstoppable force is interesting against him. Roman Reigns is the top of the card right now. Obviously, we're going to get a second top with the new world title. But at the end of the day, I don't want to say I defended, but I agree with him not winning. But Seth sold me. Like I said, Seth sold me on that promo. He straight up said, Omos, you were born a once-in-a-generation talent. I made myself a once-in-a-generational talent by how I've held myself. And Seth sold me. Obviously this is where I feel different about it. Seth sold me in the position where I know the one thing that's going to happen is San Juan's going to sing for Seth. That's the magical point of this match. It got Seth on the card. I necessarily wouldn't want almost this match to happen, and Seth is just on the card. But it is what it is. I'm sure it will deliver. I think we are going to get surprised because, like we said, we know Omos can bump. We know Omos can work. We know Seth is a great babyface. We've seen him against Brock. This shouldn't have a trouble delivering. At least I don't think it will.
Oh, does this not bury Omos though?
It does, but we're running low on time because of everything.
Sorry.
So you know what? We'll talk about it on tomorrow's show. Once this happens, because who knows? Maybe Coby will be right. Maybe this match will be here tomorrow and say we were all wrong. But we'll get into it tomorrow for sure. But the next thing I want to talk about is the United States Triple Threat match where Austin Theory will be defending his United States Championship against Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley. Truthfully, Bronson Reed is somebody I'm kind of worried might end up being in a similar situation to Omos, where they keep telling us, oh, he's a real unstoppable force. Apart from he doesn't really win any big matches. So I'm really hoping Bronson Reed actually wins tonight and wins the United States Championship off Austin Theory. And then you can always do the Austin Theory saying he was screwed out of it and all of that. But at the end of the day, I do 100% think that I do think Theory's retaining. Coby, I'll pass to you first. Who do you reckon's walking out as champion of the United States?
This is what I wrote down for this. The match needs to be fun and it needs to be enjoyable. That's the same thing for any match at the end of the day. Yeah. I like what they've done with Bronson Reed and Lashley. They created two hosses, if you want to call them, who are just wanting to beat up each other. And Theory's caught in the middle. Theory has to redeem himself in some way. He had one of the best chamber matches I've ever seen. And then he had a subpar match with John Cena. And he doesn't feel important. At the end of the day, I'd agree. I'd like to see Bronson Reed potentially win it. But Bronson's on Raw, and so is Gunther. So really, the title's either going to go to Bobby Lashley or Austin Theory. At the end of the day, like I said, it has to deliver. The idea I came up with is something set up with Lashley on the ground. Theory covers him, and Bronson gets the tsunami on both of them. And because Theory is face down on Lashley, Theory pins Lashley in that manner. It would be a weird way to get out of it. It'd be interesting if they could figure out the best way to deliver that finish. But I do think Theory's going to sneak out of this somehow. Whether it's, somehow he's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the issues I have with the draft taking place now. I wish it just took place immediately following WrestleMania, like literally on the Friday after it.
Day of.
Because here's the thing now, we're in the middle of storylines. It's kind of making some of the winners obvious. It's kind of ruining feuds a little bit. I don't get it. But Clark, who do you reckon's winning tonight?
I don't even know what to think of this match. You guys know my thoughts on Austin Theory. I don't get it. I've never gotten it. I will never get it. I don't understand it. I don't even know if he could actually hit the A-Town down on Bronson Reed if he wanted to. And then not only that, Bobby Lashley should just be running through people. Speaking of absolute beasts that we're making look average. Remember, like, we're only 6 months removed from Austin Theory squirting baby oil in this guy's eye. Like, come on. That's what we're talking about.
Months?
And it's like, yeah, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a math guy. See what you did. Look what you've done, Coby. Not the point. I mean, I think Austin Theory's best run of his career was as a disciple for Seth Rollins, wearing pants and not talking. And he did an amazing job in that role alongside of good old Buddy Murphy. And so, yeah, I would imagine Theory goes over in some sort of goofy way tonight. And then Bobby Lashley gets, pretty much is out of the equation because how does he? None of it makes sense. None of it adds up. I'm doing more math than I ever anticipated today. And at the end of the day, it's either Theory or Lashley going over because of the SmackDown situation, but it's just a joke.
I feel like, Clark, every day you wake up when you're on this podcast, you're like, I get to do another Austin Theory rant.
Can't wait to trash Theory. Can't stand him.
So many lines in the ready every time.
Yeah, someday
That's his reason to get up in the morning.
Someday I'm gonna like accidentally run into him at a bar, and he's gonna like find all of these and be like, "That's the guy."
Oh gosh, but let's get on to the next match now, and that is Bad Bunny in his hometown against Damian Priest. This match is one where, I mean, Clark, we spoke about it yesterday on the podcast. It's high risk. It is high risk. Obviously, a celebrity, somebody not too experienced in the company. But I really hope it delivers because the crowd is going to be so into this match. I'm so happy for Damian Priest as well because this is the big moment for him. The crowd are they're going to love this. At the end of the day, I do think Bad Bunny is going to get the victory as well. Clark, I'll head to you first. Who do you think is going to win between these two?
I think it's for sure Bad Bunny. I'm super stoked about this match, like fired up for it. And I think the street fight stipulation absolutely served this match positively.
Yeah.
Because then we have the opportunity for, I mean, even if something were to go slightly wrong, like that makes sense inside of the context of a street fight, right? Like an injury can happen there, something can happen there. It gives you space to work, gives them room to work and walk around and build tension for a guy that, as great as he's been on TV, like I said yesterday, he still is a part-timer at most, right? This is a different animal. Even it was risky with Seth and Logan for sure. This is risky too. But I think that the street fight stipulation is the key to the whole operation here. We're gonna have some bumps taken by Bad Bunny for sure, but we're gonna see some weapon comebacks. We're gonna see some maybe fighting in the crowd in Puerto Rico, which would be exciting, and I can't wait to see it. I think Bunny hits another destroyer because if he hits one on Damian Priest, that's viral of all viral. That is, if he hits one on a guy Priest size, and I think he can. I think he's capable. I think he's athletically capable. And I think the key is Priest is athletically capable of taking one. And I think Bunny goes over via destroyer, Puerto Rican destroyer, we'll call it, not Canadian this time. Puerto Rican destroyer.
Oh, and wins the match. Oh, that'd be a good one. What about you then, Kobe? What do you think?
I mean, I never had my chance to properly talk about last night's SmackDown, so I'm going to do it quick. With Bunny almost sending the LWO into the ring, and you could just see Damian Priest standing at the ropes and Bad Bunny staring at each other. That death stare was magical. It felt important to see the stare down between the two. To me, the first thing that when I saw it, it popped in my mind how they did Gunther and Sheamus last year, where Gunther and Sheamus stare down, and then the Brawling Brutes and Imperium are brawling. And it's just like the stare down is magical. It feels important between the two. The pop, magical. At the end of the day, I still think the stipulation leads us to a potential, it leads me to a fear that this match is too overbooked. Because we know the LWO is going to get involved. We know Judgment Day is going to show up. We know something's going to happen with them because there's going to be a moment where Bad Bunny's out and Damian Priest stands there and something happens and Bad Bunny comes out and comes back up, gets the rise up from the ashes type of aspect. But to me, that is the biggest fear going into this match. I'm like WWE. I think I'm confident in Bad Bunny's ability to deliver this match and to deliver it as a solid main event if given that spot, because I think it should. At the end of the day, I'm comfortable, but the overbook threat is there for me, and it could be what happens.
Yeah, no, it absolutely could, and I'm almost expecting that, and I still think it'd be fun. The crowd would be certainly very into it, so I don't even think this is one of the times where I don't know if it'd be that bad for a match to be overbooked, and it'd protect Bad Bunny to a degree as well. But I kind of did think it should main event until what you said yesterday, Clark, about it is very high risk, which is why I think the next match is going to main event, and that match is Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. And in terms of my prediction for this match, it depends about whether or not this is going to be a multiple match thing or if it's going to be a one-off. And I'm kind of thinking following the draft, because obviously it was announced very late that Lesnar would be no longer in the draft pool for night 2. So I'm kind of thinking that the plan was to draft him to SmackDown, and then they decided, hang on, we want this Cody thing to go a bit longer. So I am thinking that it's going to be a multi-match thing, which I don't actually think is bad, because I think a bit more time to build the story between the two, and for Cody Rhodes to get a bit more annoyed instead of just coming out and saying, hey, insert name of city, what do you want to talk about? Like, you went on a rant about it yesterday, Clark.
Yes.
And we want to see more passion from Cody, basically. Stop being so, I don't want to use the word generic, but slightly generic about it. We want to see him really fired up. He doesn't want to ask people what he wants to talk about. He wants to show them what he's thinking about. And that is violence with Brock Lesnar. So I think Brock Lesnar is going to get the victory on Cody Rhodes here today, but I don't think it'll be a clean victory. I think a low blow or something could be. I think there's going to be a little bit of a cheap shot. And I think then Cody's going to lean into that as well. But Coby, I'll head to you first. What are your thoughts going into this, what I think is going to be a main event match? And who do you think is going to win?
The fact of the matter is this cannot main event. If what I believe is going to happen happens, that cannot main event.
And what will happen?
This pay-per-view at all. Keep in mind who is involved in this match. Brock Lesnar. It is going to be a Brock match. It's going to be a short match. It'll be intense for the amount of time it gets, but it's going to be short. At the end of the day, that can't be a main event. But this is my point of view, and I 100% agree that this has to continue. This should continue. This should not be a one-off, and Cody Rhodes has to really earn that victory over Brock Lesnar. This is what I think has to happen. Is Brock needs to destroy him again.
Ooh.
And keep in mind what this match is to Brock. We haven't seen Brock Lesnar say anything about why he attacked him, which I believe is a good thing. I do believe that. But this match doesn't matter to Brock. This is heel Brock Lesnar. He is there to get paid. That's his character. I'm here to get paid. I'll be a coward. I'll be whatever I want. This match does not matter to Brock Lesnar. Brock's going to get DQ'd and beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes. That's what has to happen. And if that is what happens, there is zero way that should be main eventing this pay-per-view.
I will agree with you there. I will agree that if it is just a blatant squash on Cody Rhodes, complete violence.
I got to say something though myself.
I will pass to you now, Clark. Yeah, I do agree with you,
No
Cody.
worries.
If that is the case, it should not main event. But on to you now, Clark. What is your reaction to what Cody just said?
I've never in my life been a tattletale, but I'm going to tell Brock you called him a coward. I mean, what? You said coward and Brock Lesnar in the same sentence and you weren't talking about somebody else? This is Brock Lesnar. We're talking about Brock. You use the word coward. Brock Lesnar? Now, and I understand where you're coming from on the money hungry thing. That's some outside stuff. Inside of kayfabe, he just wants to hurt people. And there's nothing cowardly about Brock Lesnar. He wasn't afraid of Cody. He wasn't afraid of the bloodline. He wasn't afraid of Roman Reigns. He's not afraid of freaking anyone. It's Brock Lesnar. I hear you on the squash thing. Hear where you're coming from. But at the end of the day, this has to be Cody Rhodes has significantly more in my eyes to prove in this match than Brock does. And I'm more focused on that side of it. Cody's got to come out of the gates like a house of fire. I hope he starts the match just slinging right hands and overwhelms him in a way we've only seen him backed up by Alistair Overeem in MMA and Cain Velasquez in MMA. Both backed up Brock Lesnar by just swarming him. They came in with just as much intensity, and that's what I want to see from Cody Rhodes tonight. I do think he'll take the loss. I do think there'll probably be shenanigans. There could be something, and I think this needs to be extended. At the end of the day, Brock probably by either F5 or I wonder if he snaps his arm with a Kimura.
Ooh.
I wonder if he snaps that same arm attached to that pec that surgically repaired pec. He works on that. He works on that that scar that Cody likes to point out every time he gets unbuttoned for once. He likes to tell us about. I'd like to see Brock attack that shoulder, and the Kimura is a shoulder lock and puts pressure on that shoulder. That's high on the arm. It's not a wrist lock like it. While it's a wrist lock in the sense of you grab the wrists, that is a shoulder submission, and you can go right after it with a Kimura. I would like to see him try to re-snap that almost in a way after some shenanigans. After Cody comes out like a house of fire, upset and ready to go, and then we can build Cody once again on the comeback trail and present him in I think the way that he should be presented.
What's your response then, Kobe, to the coward line?
So the coward line is actually justified by the booking. Is even then he was a face in his Omos feud. Brock Lesnar was leaving the ring. He was walking away from a brawl with Omos. This Monday on Raw, Cody punched him once and Brock left. Brock 100%. He wants to destroy, he wants to hurt, but he's a killer on his own time. And that is the piece to this puzzle. He is cowardice when he wants to be. And he has been before.
I understand what you're explaining, Kobe. You're explaining it well, but it's just I don't think the word coward explains that because he's
if somebody checked Brock,
being healed,
and then when it comes down to it,
he's being the heel. It's a heel. A heel. That's what it is.
He doesn't care. Cowardice, I think, would imply that he'd be afraid of anyone. If somebody goes and pokes Brock Lesnar in the chest, that's the biggest mistake they've ever made. That's the dumbest. If you go, hey, you stop, don't look at me like that. Brock's not afraid of anybody. There's no, Brock's not ducking out of. Brock knows that Brock can fight when Brock wants to fight. And guess what? If it's booked bell to bell, you got to be in there with Brock Lesnar. You're stuck. It's not a cage every time, but once they lock that door, once you're inside those ropes, you got to deal with the big dog.
I am quite surprised that we've actually all gone for Brock Lesnar in this one, but I don't think it's going to be a full-on.
Well, okay. If it's a DQ, if Brock beats him up, Cody wins by DQ. Like if Brock does something like breaks his arm, or he might win by TKO, or if he does something outside of the ring, or he starts using the chair, Cody wins by DQ. But Brock's standing tall.
Didn't we just see the DQ with Brock and Bobby Lashley? I feel like they can't do that.
Yeah,
Let's just fill it up again.
I think it's too early.
It's too much. Fill it up again.
What I do is, if they wanted to do the squash thing like you pitched, Kobe, maybe Cody goes in for it too. He's too confident going in, gets caught by a trap by Lesnar very, very quickly. Maybe a heelish thing, whatever, and then Brock just takes him F5 after F5 until a referee stoppage. I think that could look interesting in terms of Cody just won't give up. And then the ref calls that. I mean, that's an option still. I just have a decent match between the two. Cody's having some success.
Attack that surgically repaired pec.
Yeah. A low blow from Brock or something into the Kimura, and then that's how he gets the victory. I think that's the way I'd go because it would still be a fun match. And Cody would look good in defeat, and it just drags it on a little bit longer because they have time to build this. And also, I wouldn't mind Cody having a bit of a distraction from being involved with this world title picture because I don't really want to see him involved in there at all. But overall, this card tonight is stacked. I think that's something that we can all agree on, that there's going to be a lot of talking points, and we're going to be back here tomorrow, same time as today, and we're going to be going an hour tomorrow as well. And Ignacio is going to be joining us 3 as well to talk about everything that goes down tonight because it's going to be a newsworthy night. I just have that feeling. Even though there's no Universal World Championship at stake, it still feels like a big fight night. And of course, we've got the UFC on as well. Very quickly in 5 seconds, who's your pick for the UFC main event tonight?
I got Cejudo's going to maul him. Cejudo TKO in round 3. Round 3, Cejudo by TKO.
But thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. On Spotify, please give us 5 stars and give us a follow. It really helps us out. We're here every day. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.